The mind of the subject will desperately struggle to create memories where none exist. During this explanation and analysis of the ending of Bioshock Infinite, I will be discussing the ending of the game in detail. This means that there will be spoilers. You have been warned. I have split the topics I wish to talk about into a few parts. They are all within this video, but I wanted to split it up to make it manageable to understand. Part 1. It's time travel. By the end of Bioshock Infinite, you should be aware that you are dealing with time travel. But it is not ordinary time travel. In the game you are time traveling, but you are also traveling to a different dimension, aka another timeline. Here is an illustration. They are basically traveling from one timeline's present to another timeline's past or future. Both Elizabeth and the Lutesses have the ability to open dimension gates known as tiers. There are infinite permutations of these dimension gates. This is why the game is called Bioshock Infinite. The Lutesses twins are in fact the same person. Rosalind Lutess is the original Lutess in this particular dimension. Her brother is also Lutess, but he's from another dimension. Part 2. They are the same person. Robert and Rosalind Lutess is the same person, but the main character Booker DeWitt and the main villain of the game Sacred Hale Comstock is also the same person. This is revealed in the final sequence of the game and left unexplained for a way to shock and intrigue you. But we will try to explain this in further detail. There are two timelines we should consider. We will refer to them as the Ambient timeline. Booker DeWitt becomes Comstock. This is because Booker DeWitt, who was a war veteran, gambled his way into a large debt of money. Robert Lutess offers in return for his child a large deposit of money which Booker can use to pay his debt. Booker accepts this offer and his child is sold and receives the money to pay his debt. The man who Booker sold his child to is named Comstock. There is a fork in the road for Booker DeWitt where two realities play out. After the war, Booker turns to religion to absolve him from his sins. This is where the two realities play out. In Timeline A, he accepts the baptism and becomes Comstock. In Timeline B, he refuses the baptism and sells his child. Here is an illustration of Booker DeWitt's fork in the road. In Timeline B, where Booker DeWitt denies the baptism and sells his child, he scars the letters AD in his hand. AD stands for Anna DeWitt, which is Elizabeth's real name. Part 3. Comstock. We now follow Timeline A, where Booker becomes Comstock. Comstock is married to Lady Comstock. He is friends with the Lutess twins. Comstock becomes the governor of Colombia. Comstock wants his city to become independent of the rules and laws of the United States. Comstock is obsessed with racial purity, where first-class citizens consists of white people and second-class citizens are black and Irish people. The Lutesses are brilliant scientists who came up with technology which allows Colombia to float in the sky. Comstock is exposed to the Lutesses' technology which made Comstock sterile. When Comstock was unable to have his own child, he couldn't have a reliable heir to his kingdom. Comstock then comes up with the idea to go back in time to a different dimension to buy his own child from Booker DeWitt, who is himself. Basically, he sold his child to himself. The reason Comstock buys his own child is because he wants someone from his bloodline to take over the throne. Elizabeth or Anna DeWitt shares the same powers as the Lutesses to open dimension gates. This is because she lost her finger in one dimension while her body was in another. Comstock is aware of Elizabeth's powers and uses the Lutesses to stop her from using her powers. The reason Lady Comstock is dead by the time we get to Columbia is because Comstock murdered her because she thought Comstock had an affair with another woman. Lady Comstock could potentially reveal that Comstock bought a child. This would probably not have been accepted by the people and he would be forced off the throne. Comstock claimed that Elizabeth was a miracle birth and that she had grown in the womb of Lady Comstock's in just 7 days. This increased Comstock's image as a religious prophet and served as an explanation to Elizabeth's arrival. Lady Comstock was murdered by Daisy Fitzroy, who was the leader of the rebellion against Comstock. By blaming her for the murder of Lady Comstock paints the second-class citizens in a negative light. Comstock effectively managed to kill Lady Comstock without him taking the blame. In this way nobody questions Elizabeth's arrival, as well as painting the second-class citizens in a negative light. Comstock predicts that this man will have a scar on his hand. A scar that reads AD. Part 4, A Guilty Conscience. After the Lutece twins had helped Comstock create Columbia as well as helping him going back in time to another dimension to buy his own child, the Lutesses were overcome with the feeling of guilt. They intended to use their science for good, but found themselves in a position where they were working for an evil man. In order to fix everything, the Lutesses come up with their own plan in order to restore order to the timelines. The Lutesses travels back to timeline B before he sold his child. The Lutesses lure Booker DeWitt to do a job. Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. They place Booker in the future of Comstock's dimension. In the future of Comstock's dimension, Elizabeth or Anna DeWitt is much older, so Booker DeWitt will not recognize her. As Elizabeth explains that she can see behind all the doors, she knows that the baptism of Booker is where Comstock is born. The only way to kill Comstock is by killing Booker DeWitt in the dimension where he becomes Comstock. By drowning Booker DeWitt in the dimension where he becomes Comstock, Elizabeth prevents this reality from playing out. After the credits we see the only possible reality left. Booker DeWitt finds his daughter Anna DeWitt. Since the version of the Booker DeWitt that became Comstock is dead, there is no Comstock to buy Booker DeWitt's daughter.